At the Market is underwritten by Citizens First and the St. Clair DDA.
Thanks, Tom, and welcome to another cold edition of At the Market with Bryan Neiman. We're just around the corner from the market today. We took it a little bit inside with a nice, cold, windy day. It's still beautiful downtown St. Clair, so don't forget we have a couple more shows left, so come down and see us. Well, I'm happy to welcome Grant Achatz from Achatz Restaurant, and we've got some this is dessert week, I guess, right? This is
Definitely.
awesome.
This
great.
Is perfect season.
Yes, it is. Well, tell us what you're going to do and walk us through it. It looks great.
Well, today we're just going to make the all-time American favorite apple pie. So,
yeah, apple pie, baseball, and Chevrolet, right?
Absolutely.
Is that how it goes?
Well, apple pie anyway.
Right.
Tigers didn't do too good.
That's right.
So we're going to start out with 2.5 cups of flour. I measured this inside because my fingers were still working in there.
That's quite all right. That's right. Now, any type of flour you use?
All-purpose flour is great.
Okay.
Yeah. And some of this great diamond crystal salt.
Right. Made
About
right
a teaspoon.
Here.
And then the fat, I use 1/2 cup of Crisco and 1/4 cup of butter.
Okay.
And the combination seems to work good because the two cook at different temperatures, and it gives you a flakier crust rather than just all Crisco or all butter.
Okay.
It just seems to work out better. And there's no tools in the kitchen like your hands.
No. And is it a feel thing for you? Is that, I mean, my grandmother was a baker, and we try to get her recipes all the time, but she said just a little bit of that and a little bit of this, right?
Yeah, I use formulas. I'm pretty stickler about using the exact amounts.
Okay.
Especially for baking.
Gotcha.
This part here is not the most crucial part. You're just incorporating the fat into the flour just until you get a coarse crumb type texture. The crucial part is when you put the water to it, and you don't want to handle it much after the water because it activates the gluten in the flour and just makes a really tough crust.
So this is the money part right here, right?
This is where you really have to take your time.
Gotcha.
About 1/4 cup of water. And just a little bit of lemon juice.
Lemon juice?
The acid will tenderize it a little bit.
Okay.
This should just come together as a ball. Just go from the bottom. Just kind of keep mixing it.
Okay.
You can always put a little more water in it if it needs it.
So you're going to start with a little bit less water and add as you need to?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you get too much in the first pour, you just get a real soggy crust, and it's really hard to work with.
Okay.
So you can just add a little more.
Gotcha.
And that's going to do it for that. All right. And then you usually do this part before you peel your apples. You do this part first. Okay. And then you let the dough rest.
How long will you let the dough rest?
Until you get your apples peeled.
so either
10 minutes.
Okay.
I usually put it in the fridge. And the reason to cool it off is to keep the flour from melting into the butter, you know. Okay. And it keeps it...
well, no need to put it in the fridge today.
Nope. No fridge today.
Nice and cold. Great.
Okay. So that's going to be setting for 10 minutes. Okay. And then, of course, the miracle of TV, we have our apples already peeled.
There. All right. And what kind of apples do you like to use?
I like Granny Smiths.
Oh, okay.
But when spies come in, they're great.
Okay.
But you can't always get them.
Right.
Here, we've got about 6 cups of apples. And then the sugar, I use, you can use brown sugar, or like if you can't have sugar, you can use Splenda or whatever, you know, whatever you want. And 1 teaspoon of cinnamon.
So you got cinnamon and sugar in there.
Mix that inside.
Right.
And then in the apples, we like to put a little lemon in there too. Brings out the tartness.
Gotcha. With a Granny Smith, it's going to be pretty tart.
Right.
Yep.
And then about 1/3 cup of cornstarch. You can use flour if you don't have any starch at home.
And what does that do?
This will tighten the glaze up. Makes the glaze like a jelly. Okay. Mix them in good.
You smell the cinnamon, it smells great.
And you need a little salt in this too.
Okay.
I mean, it's not a necessity, but everything's better with a little bit of salt on it.
A little bit of salt. diamond crystal salt at that.
Absolutely.
There you go. So now how long have you been here?
We've been here 5 years.
Okay.
5 years in July.
Go, congratulations.
Okay, now we'll see if we can roll these out.
Gotcha. This is where I always run into trouble. I made biscuits a couple weeks ago and that was pretty ugly. So I'm certainly I'm no baker, that's for sure.
You don't want to handle it too much because it'll just toughen it up.
Okay.
You don't want to. You're not making a pizza crust. You want it nice and tender, so you don't handle it very much at all. Start in the middle. Get somewhat of a round shape going, a disc. Move it around once or twice, and then everything after you get it this size, just from the middle out, so you're not stretching it back and forth, and that makes it tougher too.
Gotcha.
It activates that gluten, you know.
So you put that in. Now I noticed you didn't put anything in the bottom of the.
Nope.
Nothing goes in the bottom
Doesn't need
of
anything.
it? Okay.
It won't
stick it right in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's enough butter and Crisco in this crust to keep it from sticking. That's for sure.
Sounds good. Butter.
Butter. You can't go wrong. I mean, you can use all Crisco if you've got a cholesterol issue, but...
yeah, well, maybe you just have one piece of pie.
I think if you're eating pie, you should just indulge.
There you go.
In go the apples. You want to push them down a little bit so you don't have a lot of air here and there. They will cook down. And
that looks great.
You can't go wrong with a little bit more butter.
There it is.
So we put a little on here.
On top. And what is that? Does that just melt in there for flavor?
Just flavor,
okay.
Yeah. It makes that glaze taste really good.
Nice.
Apple pie is the only one I put butter in. I don't put any butter in my berry pies or cherry or anything like that.
Gotcha. And it just goes on top?
On top. Then this part here, when you're crimping it out, I like to just push down with the 2 fingers, put your thumbs right there, and then give it a little roll to help seal that edge.
Okay. And that's going to seal it up inside there?
Yeah, and there's 2 reasons. I mean, you don't want it dripping all over your onion or your oven.
Right.
And it makes the temperature in the pie a little hotter, so it sets that starch better if you can get it steaming in there.
Right. And is that something you would do with all of your pies then too then?
All the double crust pies.
Double crust pies? Ah, gotcha. Very good. Wow, that looks just like it's supposed to, right? Right out of a magazine.
Right out of a magazine.
You bet. Very
and
nice.
the top, you can brush it with a little melted butter, but I didn't bring any of that out.
Okay.
And then just finish it off with a little bit of milk.
Milk?
Milk or cream or whatever you have. You know, a lot of people use eggs, but if you don't want to crack an egg just to make one pie, you can just use milk and sugar.
No kidding. Oh, how about that?
That'll just help brown it up.
Okay, right. And it doesn't matter, it's not like a 2% or anything, it's just whatever you have in the fridge?
Right,
Nice.
anything.
Gotcha, very nice.
And you can just sprinkle a little more sugar and cinnamon on that. Save just enough. And then score it.
And now you're scoring it, what does that do for the pie?
You do need it to steam through the top here.
Okay.
Because if you didn't do that, it would just blow out. You know, it would get hot inside and then it would just blow out the sides.
Right.
So you need that right there.
All right.
And that goes in at about 375 for 40 minutes.
Thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
down. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Meet me at the market next week when our guests will be Pepper Joe's. So again, back to you in the studio, nice and warm, Tom.
At the Market is underwritten by Citizens First and the St. Clair DDA.